What's going on, y'all? It's David and David with 4 very important elemental burst tips for Bennett to turn you into a Bennett aficionado and 1 bonus tip at the very end. For my first tip, this is probably the most common misconception with Bennett as a character. Do not stack attack percent just for his elemental burst because it scales off of base attack and not bonus attack. This means it doesn't matter if I have +2 attack or +2000 attack, my attack bonus for my elemental burst will still give me the same amount either way. Now, if you are stacking attack percent because he's your main or secondary DPS, then yeah, sure, by all means. But for most players, including myself, you do want to be stacking HP percent since the heal from his burst does scale off of max HP. Tip number 2. This one might be obvious, but your elemental burst has plenty of iframes, in other words invincibility frames, where your character is immune to damage, meaning that you can use your elemental burst instead of dodge rolling an attack. With how much energy Bennett produces and how low cost his elemental burst is, this is a huge advantage because his elemental burst provides so much for your team, and adding in the fact that you can avoid big enemy attacks while activating these important effects all without consuming stamina is just nuts. The timing is pretty forgiving, so you can activate it a good amount of time before the attack you're trying to dodge and you'll still be okay. If somehow you are having a hard time with the timing, I do recommend going to one of the Abyss floors and practicing since they start you off with full burst charges for all of your characters. This next tip, tip number 3, is for the higher level Bennett owners, because he has to be at least Ascension 4. Once you send him to Ascension 4, his elemental skill, Passion Overload, gets extra effects while you are inside his elemental burst, Fantastic Voyage. The first effect he gets is the removal of the knockback from the second charge of Passion Overload, and the second effect, the most important one that I want to focus on here, is the cooldown of Passion Overload is reduced by 50%. This is such an amazing boost to Passion Overload, and to get the absolute most out of the skill, you want to pretty much only use it after you use your burst, and then during your burst you should be able to generate enough energy with the reduced cooldown to have your burst available again once it's off of cooldown, and then just rinse and repeat the cycle. This last tip for his burst is probably the most important one. Bennett's heal from his burst is really strong and scales really well with his max HP, so ideally you want to get the most out of using it. The caveat, however, is that the heal only heals you up to 70% and there's no current way to remove that threshold, like there is for the attack boost portion of his burst. I have played my fair share of co-ops with friends and random players, and I've seen so many players waste their healing skills while Bennett's burst is active. Since his burst only restores you up to 70%, you want to get the most out of your healing abilities by waiting until after you reach that threshold to use your other heals. Sure, it's fine to spam your heals if you're in danger, but most of the time the heal from the burst should be strong enough to keep you alive up to 70% where you can use your other heals. My final tip for becoming a Bennett master is to make more use of your charge attacks. Sadly, not everyone can be Jean and look this good while sending enemies to their impending doom off of cliffs or into water. But Bennett can come pretty close. His charge attacks are fairly quick and knock enemies back a good distance. You should use this more often for things like pushing enemies off of things, pushing enemies into things, or just grouping them up for more optimal combos. And that, my friends, is going to wrap it up for my 5 tips on how to become a pro Bennett player. If this video helps at all, please make sure to smash that thumbs up button down below for the algorithm, and also if you do want to continue to support the channel, please make sure to elemental burst that subscribe button and notification bell, and that would be super duper awesome. Let's make the comment section down below on this video a huge tip list, so post your favorite Genshin Impact tip down below and I might just make the best ones into a video. Thank you guys for watching, and I will check you all in the next one. See ya!
I've been searching for this all my life.